this is going to be a very, very fun video, chaps. Microsoft Gaming CEO Phil Spencer admits recent Activision Blizzard layoffs were partially undertaken due to falling industry profits. Oh, geez, I can't possibly imagine why. So I'll just go through some suspicious-sounding sentences in this article over here. As we move forward in 2024, the leadership of Microsoft Gaming and Activision Blizzard, who is total ass by the way, is committed to aligning on a strategy and an execution plan with a sustainable cost structure that will support the whole of our growing business. That isn't growing, by the way. Oh, if only you had some kind of, noticeable trend of business practices that resulted in you hemorrhaging money for years on end. Support our strategy of bringing more games to more players around the world. Or you could just make games that don't suck ass. I do think that is a far better strategy than whatever bollocks that you have that focuses on accessibility. But I will say the thing that has me most concerned for the industry is the lack of growth, said the Microsoft executive. And when you have an industry that is projected to be smaller next year in terms of players and dollars, you get a lot of publicly traded companies that are in the industry that have to show their investors growth. Because why else does somebody own a share of someone's stock if it is not going to grow? Good question. The side of the business that then gets scrutinized is the cost side, because if you're not going to grow the revenue side, then the cost side becomes challenged. But across the industry, you mentioned it, and sitting here at GDC, I reflect on friends of mine in the industry that have been displaced and lost their jobs, and how I don't want this industry to be a place where people can't, with confidence, build a career, he told Polygon. So that is why I keep pivoting back to how does this industry get back to growth? And so here I am to provide you with the formula to answer that very question. In fact, let's call it a biggot's guide on how to make your games not suck. Now remember, our goal here is growth. It is the maximization of profit. We're going hardcore capitalist over here. So with that being said, first and foremost, and this is the most important pillar of your entire business model, fire every single female from your company. There is absolutely no position in the gaming sphere done by a female that isn't either redundant or can't be done better by a male. None. The only two exceptions to this is either a body scan model or a voice actress, and that's it. Everything else is to be done exclusively by males. And if any one of them come along and go, oh, this is so, shut up, I don't care. No penis, no opinion. You do not have the wang wisdom. Go polish your nose ring and your hair needs redying. There is absolutely no reason whatsoever to listen to their opinion on an industry dominated by males that make products overwhelmingly for other males. Did the gaming sphere become objectively better with an influx of women? No. We didn't have any of these so-called problems years ago, so why the hell do we have them now? In fact, if your immediate go-to reaction is to complain, that just proves my point that you do nothing useful but damper profits, and firing you was the correct business decision. And if you say nothing and the game still sells like hotcakes, well, guess what? I'm still right. There is no scenario where I do not win here, so haha. I've asked this before, can you name me any industry that doesn't rely on sex appeal to sell its products, that saw a decrease in production cost and an increase in quality, efficiency, and sales with an increase of females? Again, why do you think that is? By the way, this seems to be a Western phenomenon. Asia doesn't seem to have these problems. Geez, I wonder why. Secondly, everyone in your company, if they have or have had a Twitter account that featured pronouns in their bio, fire them immediately. If they've ever said phrases like diversity, inclusion, representation, and it wasn't immediately followed by some variation of needs to get lost, fire them immediately. Our aim is a total clean slate, a project that will make the opposition either seethe in rage or induce an existential crisis, purely on the basis of one simple action, completely ignoring their existence entirely. Go away now. Thirdly, your game is to feature only Europeans and Asians. Make the game as homogeneous as humanly possible. And I'm aware some will say, well, that's rather extreme. Indeed it is, hence why it is called The Bigot's Guide, and here is why. The last several years, these incessant political sycophantic ideologues have drowned everything that isn't European in the stench of their political excrement, and thanks to pattern recognition, we now assume everything that isn't European or Asian is a potential Trojan horse for political propaganda. So consider this course correction that's part of the pendulum swing. Good God, what I would give to have a black protagonist as in-depth and interesting as CJ again.
Stupid ass motherfucker.
Fourth, remove all nose rings and depictions of the fade, or as V calls it, the mental illness haircut. That haircut is to this generation what the mullet was to the 1980s, a horrid mistake mistake that should be relegated to the dustbins of history, never to be repeated ever again. Fifth, stop making your women with the bodies of a prepubescent boy. Women have hips, legs, a chest, and an ass, and depicting them in any other way is grossly offensive to women. Their strongest asset is their sex appeal, and robbing them of this is to devalue and strip them of power. It is degrading. From a purely civilizational perspective, I consider it incredibly demeaning to women that any society should scoff at the concept of depicting them in peak physical form of splendor and beauty. A lack of it is demoralizing to the human soul. Show women as the goddess and not the fallen form of modernity. Both men and women must have something to aspire to. Simple as. Aiden even has data on this. Beauty and traditional gender roles are appreciated more by women than men. Shocking! Sixth, your men are to look like hyper-masculine warriors who can run through brick frickin' walls. Think Jin Kazama from Tekken. They are to have the physiques of a Spartan soldier. Masculine qualities are to be amplified, not dampened. And lastly, seventh, there is to be no mention or pandering to any modern political faction or its tenets, absolutely no exceptions under any circumstances whatsoever. So anything that deviates away from reality and sanity in this context is resolutely forbidden. Consumers play games to enjoy themselves, not to be preached to. And that's it. That is all you need to do to generate a profit from a game. Considering the other things are standard practices, they have been for decades now, they don't need to be mentioned by me. Cheers for watching, and once again, I apologize for nothing.